You're listening to the How to Talk to Girls podcast with your dating coach, Trip, from tripadvice.com. Do you struggle with getting girls to like you? Well, you're going to learn step-by-step how to talk to girls to create deep connections and meet the woman of your dreams. Here's your host, me, Trip. Hey, welcome to the How to Talk to Girls podcast. This is your host, Trip Kramer, from tripadvice.com. And on today's episode of the How to Talk to Girls podcast, we're going to be talking just about that, talking to girls, starting the conversation, a topic that I know a lot of guys want to learn about. I know that guys struggle the most when it comes to the approach. And it's interesting. I find it very interesting how when it comes to giving advice in terms of the dating realm, that for guys, more guys are asking questions on the approach than anything else. I don't know what it is. I know that guys ask relationship questions and try to get information on how to have great relationships or how not to lose a girl or how to get a girl back. But really, it's interesting how the majority of the questions that come in from guys are all related to the initial conversation and the initial approach. And it's funny because I know that's the biggest pain point for most people because guys have a hard time getting past that first part. But I just urge you as a person who's trying to learn how to meet girls that it should not stop there. Hopefully that this journey is taking you farther. Hopefully you're learning not just how to approach and how to start the conversation and how to continue conversation, but also how to get to the point where you're finding the right girl for you. You're finding the right type of relationship to be in. Or you are, in a relationship already and you're trying to make it the best it can be and working on healthy communication. I mean, it never ends. It never ends working and growing and learning about this area of connecting with women. And so I just think it's very funny that a lot of the information that's asked and that's searched for is generally in the initial interactions. But again, I get it. It's just because, a lot of guys are having most of their troubles in that first period. So that's why I talk about it a lot. That's why I talk about it more than anything. As you've probably seen recently, I've put out more information on relationship stuff just because I want to have that out there, I want guys to have access to information that's just more than how to, first meet a girl. It should be way beyond that. So, now is kind of just a little bit of a throwback to get people who I know are still having trouble getting down that initial approach. This is the throwback to getting you some good information on that. So why don't we get started here? Basically, this whole episode is going to be all about the biggest mistakes that I see that guys make. And these are mistakes that I've made. These are mistakes that I see guys making now, that students have made in the past, that coaching clients have made. These are some of the bigger mistakes that I know guys make, and I want to tackle them now and offer you some solutions for them and make this process much easier for you, okay? Now, real quick, before I get into that, I just want you to remember that I have a program called Hooked, and you can check that out at getterhooked.com, and that program will offer a tremendous amount, not just in the initial approach, but also in the whole process from A to Z of first you meet her, and then all the way to now she's your girlfriend and everything in between. Or finding out the type of relationship that you are looking for. So any issue that you're having right now with attracting girls, I highly suggest you check out that program. And what's cool is I give a 60-day basically guarantee. So in 60 days, if you don't like it or it doesn't help you or it's not the right information for you, no problem. Just email me, trip@tripadvice.com, and we can, get you your money back and you can move on to something else. But I really do think this is one of the best programs out there. It's the program that I wish I had. Honestly, it's a program I wish I had when I was first starting to learn this stuff. Okay, now let's talk about the biggest mistakes that I see, starting from the top, in no particular order. However, I think this first one I'm about to say might be the most important. And the biggest mistake that I see is that guys do not approach fast enough. Yep, that's right. And this is the most important because this is the biggest mistake of all. If you're not doing it fast enough, most likely I'd say you're probably not doing it at all. Okay, I know that it takes a lot of guts and a lot of courage and a lot of pumping yourself up to get this process going. But let me tell you, and I think you already know this, that if you've already been through that, if you've already been through that whole process of pumping yourself up and getting yourself just really jacked up to finally go over and talk to a girl, I bet you that those few minutes that you're waiting there pumping yourself up are absolute hell. And you're probably laughing right now because you're like, how does Trip know me so well? Well, it's because I'm you, my friend, and I've been through it, and I know what it's like to sit there in the minutes of hell. That's what we're going to call them, the minutes of hell, those minutes leading up to the approach where you're desperately trying to pump yourself up and say anything you can to get yourself up to walk over there. And now the problem is that you're not doing it fast enough, and you're actually hurting yourself. You're hurting yourself because in those minutes, what you're doing is you're pumping yourself up so much and trying to get yourself to go talk to the girl. But what ends up happening is that you don't really perform your best. I find that you end up performing your very best when you go as fast as possible and start conversation with someone and go over there right away because you haven't allowed your nerves to build up inside of you. So you're actually not as nervous and you're not as freaked out. However, the fact that you're sitting there for potentially 2, 3, 4 minutes waiting to go over and say hi to the girl, you're building up the nerves. You're building it up so much that you're making yourself even more nervous. And it's going to freak you out so that by the time you go over there and you actually say something to the girl, well, you're already really, your blood's pumping fast, your heart is racing, and you just feel incredibly uncomfortable, right? So what I'm telling you right now is you want to go as fast as you can. And you want to do something called the 5-second rule. Now, I've said the 3-second rule before because that's something that I've heard from the Mystery Method, Mystery, famous pickup artist coach. He always talked about approaching, and he always says the 3-second rule, meaning you see a girl, 1, 2, 3, you go over. But you know what? I'm going to say the 5-second rule. And the reason I'm saying the 5-second rule is because the 5-second rule is an actual concept in a personal development that I've learned about that gets you to do something when you're a procrastinator. Is you end up just counting to 5 right before you want to do something that you don't really want to do. And so that forces you to get started faster. And so the whole idea and psychology behind this is that when you count to 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you actually do it, you don't want to lose. It's like this game. So you want to be able to continue to make this 5-second thing work. The only way to make it continue to work is to continue to follow it. So let's say that you're sitting there and you want to get some work done or some school work done, or you want to do the dishes, or you need to clean your room, or you need to go get gas, or you need to run an errand, or you need to text that person you haven't texted in a while, or call back that person, or check a voicemail, or write an email. Any of these examples, including going up and approaching a girl, what you do is you count to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And either at 1 second or at 5 seconds, you're already on your way to going and doing that thing that you want to do. This works wonders. It is pretty magical how well this works. And of course, if you don't know this already, the hardest part about ever doing anything, honestly, one of the hardest parts, of course, you can get stuck in something. Maybe you're stuck in a project or stuck at work on something, but that doesn't happen as often. What the worst part is of anything, doing anything, is getting started. Like going to the gym. Like the gym is not that bad, right? Yeah, it hurts. Yeah, you're burning muscle and the lactic acid builds up and it's kind of painful. But really, the hardest part isn't just going through that. The hardest part is getting up and going to the gym and going and doing it. Well, it's the same thing here with talking to girls, right? The hardest part here is just getting off your butt and going over and doing the approach. Yes, I get it. It might be difficult for you to continue conversation and, be able to talk to girls. I get it. That's a hard part about it. But I guarantee you, if we were to compare the struggles of whether it's harder for conversation to continue or to go and approach, most of the time, the guys, including myself, are going to say that the approach is the hardest. So that's why we want to go over there and count to 5 and do it as soon as humanly possible. So make sure you use the 5-second rule, not just for this, but for any area of your life where you actually want to get something done and get moving. And so when you go up there, finally, your nerves are not going to be so bad. Now, next, and I'll help you out here, and this is in no specific order, next is you're not prepared with an opener. That's another big mistake I see guys make, right? And that's what makes the first one really tough. I mean, you sit there and you're like, I can't go over there because you don't know what to say. And you want to find the perfect thing to say for every single unique situation. And okay, you know what? Maybe you can find something unique to say in the situation because maybe she's holding something, wearing something, she's doing something that's easy to comment on and start a convo. But what if she's not? What if she's just walking? What if she's just sitting there looking at her phone? Well, maybe you can comment on her phone, but maybe you're just like, well, that's kind of lame and you don't even know what to say about the phone. Well, that's fine. Now let's prep you with an opener. Let's prep you with my famous opener that you can use every single time you go up and talk to a girl. What's that opener? I call it the Starbucks opener or the coffee opener. You go up and you either say one or two things. First, you can say, hey, I'm looking for a coffee shop around here that's not Starbucks. Do you know where I can find one? Or you say, hey, I'm looking for a Starbucks. Do you know where I can find one? Either one of those is fine. They're each a little bit different, but they guarantee you to get into conversation quickly and start something with a girl that you're just talking to for the first time. So a big mistake is you're going out there, you're not prepped with an opener. So there you go. There's your opener. And if you're like, well, Trip, this is a terrible opener, or I've used this and it doesn't get me anywhere. The problem isn't the opener. The problem is conversation and being able to continue conversation. So how do you fix that? Well, I've talked about this in recent episodes. That's a skill that you got to build, right? So that's a skill that you got to build on its own. And in order to do that, you need to do more approaches. And in order to do more approaches, you need to do the 5-second rule. You need to be prepped with the opener. So that's what's going to make you build the skill of being able to converse and talk about anything you can. Again, a little tip is something she's wearing, something she's holding, something she's doing. But another tip is just to be able to talk about anything that's on your mind or anything going on. Something that's going on in your life, something that's going on in the world. There's a lot of stuff going on right now. You know, there's volcanoes about to erupt in Bali. There's hurricanes that are smashing the southeast of America, right? There's stuff going on in the political world. There's movies that have come out. There's things on pop culture. There's things in your personal life that are going on. Not saying personal, skeletons in the closet type of information, but just things going on in your life that you may want to talk about or get an opinion on or say something or comment on. Which leads me basically to my next mistake that a lot of guys make is that they're asking too many questions. That's right, they're asking way too many questions. That's one of the biggest mistakes I see when guys are going over and talking to girls is they slam them like it's an interview. They go, boom, I have a question here. Boom, question here. Where do you live? Where are you from? What do you do? Oh, cool. What's your favorite place? Okay, cool. And I get it. We're starting off with a question by doing the Starbucks opener. That's fine, but I want to get you used to being able to hold conversation with only statements. This is probably one of your most powerful and I understand most difficult things that you can do in conversation. You got to take the brunt of the work. When you go up to a girl and you just ask a bunch of questions, you're giving her the work. And this is why a lot of approaches don't work out. Guys say, how do I talk to girls? Well, you don't do it in a way where you're making them work for it because you're the one who approached them. So they're waiting for you to do something because you were the one who went up and did it. So what you need to do is you need to be the one who's putting more work in and saying more statements. And if you're talking enough and saying enough statements, the goal is that she bites onto one of those statements and is able to continue from there and ask you a question. And that's the way of getting a girl invested in you. By the way, this is one of the core topics that I go over in my program Hooked, which again, you can get at getherhooked.com. I talk about investment. I talk about getting a girl to respond to you and to be able to get invested in you. Because when a girl is finally invested in you, when she invests in the conversation, one of those ways is asking you a question, right? She's literally investing her time into you by asking you a question. And when you get that investment, she's more likely to be able to meet up with you and become attracted to you and want to see you again. So that is why statements are so important. And one of the biggest mistakes, again, yet I see, is that guys don't take the time, don't work on focusing on making statements instead of just pounding a girl with 30 questions. Now, we're not done yet. We got a few more to go here. Some other mistakes that I see is in general when it comes to approaching, because that's what we're talking about here. The biggest mistakes guys make when approaching is they don't do it enough. Yeah, that's right. They don't do it enough. They wait for the perfect moment, which allows them to probably end up not approaching because there is no perfect moment. Or what ends up happening is they only wait for the girls that they're super attracted to. So you're only talking to the girls who you're super attracted to. And I get it. I can hear you right now. You're probably saying, well, Trip, why would I talk to any other girl? Aren't you and haven't you been saying for the past years that you should be going for the girls that you don't want to settle for? Yes, I have. However, what I've also said in the past years is that you want to be able to practice the skill of conversation and talking to girls, talking to the types of people that make it scary, and that's girls right now, right? Of course, it's more scary to talk to women you're probably attracted to, but it doesn't matter. I know you'll still be nervous to talk to a girl who you're only somewhat attracted to. And you got to do this as much as you can because you need to be able to practice this skill. So what I'm saying here is, no, you don't need to get the number and hit on every girl that you come across. In fact, I don't even believe in that because I think that's wrong. Why would you give false hopes to a girl that thinks that she has a chance with you and is trying to look for a guy? Let's not waste people's times. But that doesn't mean you can't go up and start a conversation, a friendly conversation. You don't have to get the girl's number. You don't have to see her again. You don't have to go on a date with her. You can just start the conversation. You can get the conversation flowing. And this can be something that you can do with just about anybody. It can be a guy. It can be a girl. It can be a stranger. It can be someone that is at a cash register or a waiter or your parents or your friends. Just being able to hold conversation and talk like I'm doing to you right now. So I'm literally sitting right here talking to myself. I'm talking to you, but I can't see you. I'm just sitting here talking. And so, again, this is what I want you to practice, talking. And hopefully we can practice on actual people. Here's another mistake, and it is connected to some of the mistakes I just said, but it's a little bit more specific. A lot of guys will just try to find a reason to have to go up to the girl and start the conversation. They want to find a reason. You need to find some sort of reason to go up there. But I'm telling you right now, and this is going to help increase the amount of approaches you do, is you don't need to find a reason. You can just go up and start conversation. Of course, use common sense, If they're sleeping or napping somewhere, you're not going to maybe go up and wake them up. Although, you know what? To be honest, maybe you should, because if this is a girl that you're actually interested in, why not give her the opportunity to meet you, even if it is interrupting a little nap, somewhere, I don't know, on a quad or something like that. But either way, use common sense and do this as appropriate as possible, right? You're not going to sit up in the middle of a movie theater and go and approach a girl. Let's be obvious here. But you might talk to her after the movie. And, I don't think you should let any excuses get in the way of you appropriately going up to a girl and starting a conversation with her on just about anything. So stop making the mistake of finding some reason to make it perfect so that the conversation just flows as smoothly as possible. Instead, go up, use the Starbucks opener, and just get in there and see what happens. And so the next mistake, and this is the last one, is that guys aren't using enough eye contact. And this is kind of one of my biggest attraction tips, is that I want you to be able to go up to a girl and talk to her about anything and give her eye contact. A lot of guys will get nervous. They get very fidgety. They look down. They look all around. They look at her mouth. They're looking up in the sky. They're not looking at her. And that's what I want from you. I want you to be looking at her directly in the eye every time you're talking to her and every time you're talking to anyone. This is the new you now. I want you to be talking to a girl and be looking in her eye because I know that you're making this mistake and you're not doing it. And it shows a lot of confidence when you do that. So I'm giving you the 80-20 here really of approaching, right? These are the most important things that you can be doing when you're approaching any girl. So focus on those. Focus on giving good eye contact, using and being prepped with the opener, making sure you're doing it more often, the actual approaching, doing it within 5 seconds, giving the eye contact, focusing on statements. I hope you're taking some notes here because this is powerful stuff. This episode right here could be one of the most life-changing episodes for you in terms of being able to start this process of meeting more girls. I know guys who have finally just been able to get the courage, take this information, work with it, and be able to get a girlfriend within a week. I know that sounds, I'm not saying they get the girlfriend in the week, but they meet the girl who ends up becoming their girlfriend, and they meet her within the week of learning this information. So this can be very powerful. What are you going to work on next? What are you going to work on? I want to know what it is that you're going to do. So from this episode, don't just listen to this and go on to the next one. Really think about what can you practically do? What steps can you take? Where are you going to be able to use this information? And what's the next plan of action? When are you going to go out and do your next approach? Are you going to do it right now? I hope so. I hope this is one of those really motivational episodes for you. Like, get up, turn off this, press pause right now. Go and do your first approach. Go and do an approach if you haven't done it in a while. Like, go right now. This will be here when you get back, okay? So do it. And now if you're listening to this and you came back from that approach, I really actually hope that it went well enough. It didn't have to go well at all. The whole point isn't to go and finally meet the girl of your dreams in one split second. No, it's to go up and just get this skill under your belt. Because I know that when guys master the approach, everything else becomes a lot easier. It becomes much easier to hold conversation, to get girls attracted. All that is really easy. You may not understand that now. They may seem crazy to you, like, really becomes easier? Yes, it does. You'll find out. I've been through it. Guys have been through it. Once they can do the approach, a lot of other things fall into place, and you'll be able to get numbers and dates in no time. So, good luck to you. Hopefully, you're taking this advice and using it. Don't forget to leave a review on the podcast because I'll read it off. And don't forget to check out getherhooked.com to get your course on how to get any girl hooked on you.